Am I the asshole for telling my wife to remove a picture of her deceased boyfriend from her wallet? My wife and I have been married for more than 2 years. We met in college and started dating around then. But when she was a senior in high school, she had a boyfriend who she dated for about a year. On the night of their prom, the boyfriend died in a car accident. Since then, she has kept a picture of them two in her wallet. I was okay with it at first. I'm a little annoyed, but okay. I thought after our wedding she'd remove it but didn't. Okay, I'll let it go. But now that we had our firstborn in the summer, it feels like it's time to remove the picture. When I asked her, she got defensive and argumentative. I didn't want to fight since it's clearly a sensitive topic, but also didn't want to give up my stance. Any advice? Am I the asshole for telling my older son I can't baby him the way I do my younger son? My younger son has been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder that sometimes leads to panic attacks. When he gets overwhelmed, I let him come to me wherever I'm at, and I just hold him for a while until he feels better. Well, the other day my older son came up to me and asked if I could do the same thing for him. I could see he'd been having a bad day, but he is 15 and taller. I explained that I can't baby him the way I do my younger son. My younger son has a legitimate anxiety disorder, not just a bad day, but I also said I'd be willing to talk with him and support him in a more age-appropriate way. He looked embarrassed and said he'd rather not talk about it, and that he wished he could be his brother for a day. How could you wish to have severe anxiety? Am I the asshole? Before we dive back into the drama, hit that subscribe button below. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's get back to the story. Am I the asshole for not letting my wife drive my car? My wife and I have been married for just over a year and known each other for 2 years now. I had a new car that I paid off with my own money while we were dating, and she's had the same old beat-up car the entire time. Recently, I traded my car in for a different one, using $26,000 worth of trade-in credit and $1,200 worth of our money. Mind you, she's been making many small Amazon purchases and has not worked since March because she's been looking for a job. She's upset because I call the car mine and don't like the fact that she tells me which days of the week she gets to drive it, which I understand because her car sucks right now. But my parents are giving her a used car that's in much better shape than her current one for free. But she still says that when she gets that car, she'll still tell me which days she is driving it. And it is strictly our car. I'm fine with letting her drive it whenever she wants. If she just asks, am I in the wrong here? Am I the asshole for complaining about my wife's cultural food in front of our children? I am married to a Lao woman. My wife was born in Laos, and even after moving to America, her family made it a habit to embrace their culture's traditions. As a white man born and raised in America, it has taken me a lot to get used to her cultural quirks. We have 2 kids. Our youngest's birthday was just this past week, and my wife insisted we celebrated how they do in Laos. I was reluctant at first, but in the end, I listened to all of her requests. The morning of our daughter's party, my wife was downstairs making Lao desserts and food. Before the guests arrived, some of these items had a strong odor that I recognized, and with such difficult names to pronounce, throughout our marriage I had to stay quiet and not learn them about American culture. This day I had made it a point to say something. The guests had arrived, and I noticed some of them skipping over the food she had made. Luckily, some of the kids' parents brought small sweets along with their gift. While my wife was socializing, my mother came up to me and pointed out the food. I was so glad she agreed with me on this and urged me to say something. When guests started to leave, I asked my wife if I could speak to her. She told me I was being rude, interrupting. This was my last straw and I blew up. I yelled at her saying this food shouldn't be here. No one likes it. Both our daughters were beside her and she waved them to go inside and followed them. Later that night I tried to tell her that it's important our kids know they're American as well. She said we have no culture. She's been giving me the silent treatment. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for not reacting well to my sister's pregnancy? I have an older sister and brother. My sister is currently the only sibling with a child. My 2-year-old nephew Alex. I'm a full-time college student and work part-time. I also live alone, so I don't see friends and family as much, and I only go out occasionally because I have bills to pay and barely any spare time due to work and college. A few weeks ago, I decided to have a few days off from college for last week And my sister asked me if my nephew could stay at mine for the day, as we haven't bonded, and I agreed. I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but I'm not really a kids person, and prefer not to be around them. When Friday came, it was time to pick up my nephew so I could have him for the day, and it's beginning to get cold now, so his mother wraps him up in layers when he goes outside. After driving home, I took my nephew inside my apartment and got the layers off. I noticed the t-shirt had some writing and read it. I'm going to be a big brother. I was happy for him that he was going to be a big brother. His mom and dad have been talking about planning for baby number 2 since he was born. A few hours later, my sister called me to see how he was doing and asked if I noticed anything about the shirt. I said yeah, I know he will be a big brother. She said, and so I said congratulations. She hung up the phone immediately. About 2 hours after the phone call happened, I dropped my nephew off to his parents, and my parents and brother were there waiting, which was unexpected. My sister and her husband got my nephew to bed, and they came downstairs as soon as he was sleeping. My parents started arguing with me, calling me an asshole for the way I responded. My sister's pregnancy isn't the biggest news in the world. My parents and I argued for a bit and I left. A few days later they announced it on social media. Am I the asshole, or are they overreacting? Am I the asshole for telling my kids to not help their stepdad? My fiancé and I have a blended family. I have 2 boys, 14 and 19 from a previous marriage, and he has a son 15 from one as well. We've been together for 8 years, living together for 7. His house, he asked me to move in. For the first couple years everything was better than I ever imagined it could be. All 5 of us would do the chores together. Then we became friends with a married couple. My fiancé and the guy really hit it off. He, too, had a blended family, but his marriage was going sour, and he complained the stepkids were lazy and refused to help out. Suddenly, my fiancé started having the exact same complaints. He began to yell at my kids for doing things that he was fine with his son doing. He started only asking his son for help, even if all 3 were together, and I'd have to ask my boys to go after them and help. Then I found out he's been complaining to anyone who'd listen. So now when he only asks his son for help, I tell my boys to not go out after them. Am I the asshole for not making food for kids? Last Saturday, we had a few friends over. It was 3 couples and us. We all have kids. I am from a country that doesn't make a different meal for kids. The kids eat exactly the same as adults, only in a smaller portion and pre-cut if necessary. 2 of the 3 couples are also from the same country, as we met in German class. One of the couples we met at an event, so I asked everyone if there were allergies or restrictions I had to keep in mind for dinner. They all said no, everything was normal. When they arrived, we had a good time until dinner was served. The couple we met at the event, Lena and Leon, it all started with Lena saying the kids should eat beforehand. I said that the food was not done. Then we started serving the food. We put the kids' portion in those colorfully IKEA bowls and put them down. Lena and Leon were flabbergasted. They asked where the kids' food was. I pointed, confused, to the bowl. Leon said that that was no kids' food. That kids' food was nuggets, pizza, or pasta with ketchup. Their kids were crying, and started crying even harder. When the other kids started eating the food, Leon took their kids to McDonald's, and Lena said that we should adapt to this country, and eventually also left. I feel really horrible because I wanted to be a good host. Am I wrong for not making something different for the kids? Am I the asshole for telling my father? I will always choose my cat over my half-brother. I used to have a relatively good relationship with my half-brother, despite the fact that my dad cheated on my mom with his mom, with the excuse that he thought my mom would never be able to provide a child. I never blamed him for it and we got along reasonably okay. Up until I found out he has been sleeping with my then-girlfriend. Blocked and haven't talked to him for months now. My cat and my half-brother have the same birthday. So over the past several years, I would attend my half-brother's birthday party and throw my cat's birthday party afterwards. Yesterday though, I decided to have an early, extra long party for my cat instead with my mom, aunts and friends. They all adore Claire. I didn't go to my half-brother's birthday, which caused my dad to call and say that I was being a bad brother. I told him that my half-brother was the one who betrayed me. He asked me if my cat is more important, so I said yes, and that I would always choose my cat over him. Now I have 3 aunts. All my mom's sisters all hate dad for cheating on her, but one of them said I was a bit too harsh on him. Was I too harsh to my father? Join the conversation Hit that subscribe button for more stories. And share your thoughts in the comments below.